My name is Vinny Gupta. I am co-founder and CEO of the sponsor of today's webinar, UC Easy. The name stands for University and College Admissions Made Easy. And over the next hour or so, we are going to, along with my fellow speaker, actually she is the primary speaker for today, we are going to give you an overview of financial aid as it relates to reducing your share of what you need to pay for college. So I will introduce our speaker, Dr. Monica Randall, in a second. But before I do that, let me give you a quick introduction about who UC Easy is, that we have some context and you'll possibly take it a little bit more seriously when we talk about this rather complex topic. A couple of housekeeping things. This is a webinar. What that means is that you can see me and Monica, but we cannot see you, we cannot hear you, so your privacy is fully protected. We are going to be recording this webinar, and recording will be made available to you later, but please don't worry about anything pertaining to your privacy. Housekeeping thing number two, for any technical questions like audio not working, please type that in the chat window in your toolbar. But for your questions, which we hope you'll have a bunch of, please type that in the Q&A option on your toolbar. It's a bright green Q. And lastly, there is an option, especially for the kids on the call, there's an option which allows you to raise your hand. Unfortunately, we cannot respond to that. It's an adorable option, but unfortunately, we cannot do much with it. So with that, let's get started. Again, the sponsor of today is UC Easy, the name of the company, University and College Admissions Made Easy. And for those of you from California, it is not University of California Made Easy. Just a little bit about the company. I do understand very respectfully that we have several UC Easy customers today attending this important topic. I promise you I'm going to keep this short so that we can get into the topic today. In terms of how to engage with UC Easy, the programs and all that, we'll talk about that right at the end. So if you're a UC Easy customer, current customer, you can leave at that time. So UC Easy's mission is to simplify college admissions for students with foreign-born parents, meaning parents that are not familiar with the middle school, high school, or the four-year college admissions journey in the US. Why is that? Because me as a co-founder and my fellow co-founder, VK Koladi, that is our journey, that even though the country that we came from, we went to the best colleges, best schools, but when we came to this country, we struggled in terms of supporting our own children through high school and college admissions. We said there's got to be a better way, and that is why UC Easy was started. So today, UC Easy is the only company in the United States with that specific mission. And the big difference really is that, and I'll talk about that in a second, that I see my role as the CEO to learn about the unique needs of the families that we are serving, and then work with college admission experts like Dr. Monica Randall to find solutions. So UC Easy is the only company where parents like me who've been through this journey are trying to find solutions for other parents. We are an online academy for college admissions. What does that mean? Our meetings are done, our counselors like Monica Randall would meet you over high quality video conference. And our goal is to offer high quality college admissions guidance, which is still affordable for a lot of families. We offer 3 programs, and I'll talk about more at the end of the webinar. We have a program for 8th to 10th graders, another program for 11th and 12th, and a third one for community college students looking to transfer to 4-year colleges. We currently are supporting 600 students nationally, so that's like a mini school, which is what I meant by saying online academy. And you will meet Monica Randall. You will also meet a little later today, Karen Rao, who is director of our program for 11th and 12th graders. That will give you an idea of the quality of the team and the empathy that they have for 4 families that we are supporting. And we have 45 of those at this time. Just a quick idea of who the leadership team is. I'm going to spend very little time, but I want you guys to understand that we are a real academy and we have put in the effort to do the staffing. So me and Vaitish, we are the co-founders. Dennis Yan runs our customer success initiative. His credentials are that he is a second generation, or actually the first generation immigrant. He came from China when he was 12 and later went to Purdue and USC. And then he was an admissions director at Berkeley as well as Purdue University. David Campos, he's a graduate of Stanford. He runs our program for 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. And Karen, who you'll meet later, runs our program for 11th and 12th grade. She has about 20 years experience in college admissions. This is on the screen. You can see a sample size of the team that we have. As I said, these are roughly 45 or so with an average experience of 15 years, 1-5 in college admissions in US. Monica actually increases the average because her experience is almost 28 years. She was also vice president of admissions and financial aid at a university. Every single one on the team has a master's degree at a minimum. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And now with that, let's bring our guest speaker for today, Dr. Monica Randall, my friend and someone that I have tremendous respect for, especially for discussing this particular topic. Why do I say that? She has, as I said before, she has 28 years of experience in college admissions and financial aid. Her PhD thesis was on financial aid. You don't meet that many people with that kind of credentials. And she had a wonderful daughter in high school that she works with. I'm going to, without any further ado, I'm going to invite Dr. Randall to introduce her a little bit more and then take us from here in terms of the topic for today. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Dr. Monica Randall. And yes, I did my doctoral dissertation on financial aid. I actually looked at how financial aid impacts the success of students as they move through a university system that I know very well here in Maryland, where I live. I also worked on the other side of the desk, so to speak, as the Vice President of Enrollment Management. And when I was Vice President of Enrollment Management, I had a lot of students and families come to me with questions about financial aid, with questions about admissions. And I thought, wow, what a better way to kind of help them would be to come to this side of the desk and really help them before they come to college, to really help them figure out what's the best fit for them financially and socially and academically before they even make the decision to enroll. So that's how I got started in this business. And as Vinny mentioned, I do have a daughter who's 15. She's a sophomore. So all of this that I'm saying to you is the advice that I'm giving myself now as we begin to our own college journey here at our home. So today, what we're going to talk about are 5 things. I'm going to talk to you about what financial aid is. And today, my goal really is to give you some tools to help you along this journey of figuring out what financial aid is, how it impacts your family. So I'm going to talk about what it is. I'm also going to speak to you about how to build a college list. And as you're building your college list, thinking about affordability. My focus today will be on building an affordable college list. I also will give you some resources along the way. And I'll give you some terminology. I want you to take away today with some knowledge about what the differences are between merit-based and need-based financial aid. I also want you to know how colleges actually determine financial aid. And I'm going to dispel a few myths too about financial aid. So let's start and talk about what is financial aid. I get this question all the time. Like, most people assume that financial aid means only aid given to people who have a financial need. And that's not necessarily the case. Financial aid is any money that a student receives to help pay for college. That money could be based on need, which I'll go into in a few minutes, or it could be based on merit. But it really is any type of money that a student receives to pay for college is considered to be financial aid, okay? As you are building a college list, what I want you to do is to think about and build your college list based on affordability. So what does that mean? When we think about fit for a college or university for a student, for your teen, you're probably going to be looking at an academic fit, as well as social fit. If your teen has any health issues, you'll look at health fit, etc. Also take into consideration affordability. And what that means is building a college list with affordability in mind. So in order to do that, the first thing that I want you to understand are cost. And what does it mean by college cost? You will probably hear in the news all the time about tuition, tuition of X college or X university. But what you need to understand is college costs consist of tuition, right? Tuition. It also consists of fees. You have room and board, okay? So your student will need to have a place to live and have to eat. Transportation will be thrown in there as a cost, as well as books and other miscellaneous expenses. So when you're looking at college costs, look at the total college cost. And costs can range depending on the type of school. Community colleges tend to have less cost than, say, the state university in your state or a private university. So those total costs will range from low all the way up to high. But take into consideration that college cost means all of this. We're looking at tuition and fees, room and board, transportation, books, as well as miscellaneous expenses, right? So when you're thinking about building a college list and you're thinking about affordability and cost, one way of looking at affordability and building an affordable college list is to have your teen consider colleges that they could afford to attend if they did not receive any financial aid, okay? So that's when you're thinking about a financial aid safety colleges on your college list. Think about it in that term. Any college that you could afford, your teen could afford to attend if they didn't receive any financial aid at all. Worst case scenario, okay? So that's what I mean by a financial aid safety school. In terms of figuring out some of those financial aid resources, here's some things that I want you to know and to understand. The first thing to understand when you're building your college list and when you're thinking about financial aid are the differences between merit-based and need-based financial aid. So what do I mean by that? Merit-based financial aid is any financial aid that's given to a student based on merit, meaning students can receive aid for academic achievements, or they might receive aid for their musical abilities, anything that's based on their merit. Music, academics, athletics, those kinds of things. Those are merit-based. Whereas need-based financial aid is based on the need of the student. So it might be based on the income of the family, et cetera. Their need in general is what need-based financial aid. So when you look at financial aid, I like to look at it kind of like this big umbrella because of the two different types of financial aid. So on the one hand, you have need-based aid. And need-based aid could be scholarships or grants, or it could come in the form of work study or loans. Think about scholarships and grants as those things that are what I call, or what we all call, gift aid. It's aid that you don't have to pay back, okay? Whereas work study and loans, and that's why I have it in red, are financial aid resources that are given to a student where the student has to pay it back. Work study would be through work while they're enrolled in school. and loans, of course, after they complete their education, they pay back those loans. So need-based financial aid can come in any of these forms. It can come in scholarships, grants, through work study, or loans. Merit-based can also come in these forms. It can come in the form of a scholarship that's, like I said, based on their athletic ability or their academic ability or their musical talents or art talents. It can come in the form of grants, and it can also come in the form of any type of tuition discount, where a school will simply just say, hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of a discount based on these factors. Okay, so those are two major parts or major types of financial aid that are available. When you're thinking about financial aid, you have to think about it in terms of the sources of financial aid. So there are different types of sources. So we have different types. You have need-based and merit, and they come from different sources. So I'm going to talk to you about the different sources of financial aid and then the different forms that are used to determine the amount of financial aid that a family will receive. The first form, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, is the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The FAFSA, there's the website here on my screen. It's studentaid.ed.gov/SA/FAFSA. This is used to calculate what we call the expected family contribution, and it's used for federal financial aid that's given to students from the federal government. The FAFSA is free. It's free to fill out. It's available every October, so it's available now. So if your student is a senior in high school, they should be completing or have completed the FAFSA for this go round. So it's available every October. I do recommend that that families complete this because it gives you access to different forms of financial aid from the federal side. Things like grants, if you're Pell eligible, the Pell grant, work study, it'll give you access to that. And it'll also give you access to loans, different forms of loans, from loans that are subsidized from the federal government all the way through to unsubsidized loans. The key part of this form is going to give the schools something called an EFC, Expected Family Contribution, and I'll explain that in a few more minutes, okay? The other form that's out there that gives families access to institutional aid, some schools use something called the CSS Financial Aid Profile, all right? And this is a form that is available through the College Board, and there's the website there for you, cssprofile.collegeboard.org. There are also on this website a list of participating schools. Not all schools use this. The schools that do use this tend to be schools that give out a lot of institutional aid coming directly from the school. This form is a little more involved than the FAFSA, meaning it asks a lot more questions. And this form is not free to file. You have to pay a fee in order to file this form. So it will depend on your college list for your student as to whether or not they will have to complete this form. And like I said, if you go to this website and you can check out the participating schools as you're building the college list for your team. Okay. The other thing to consider, the other major source of financial aid is will come from states, will come from depending on the state that you live in. Here in Maryland, we have a number of different grants that are available to students from all different types of income, and there's a financial aid form for that. The same thing for California. For any state in the US, states provide financial aid to students who attend schools within their state. the best way to find out that information would be to look at your state higher education coordinating board or a state agency. So for here, I just gave a few examples like New Jersey grants and scholarships. Just do a Google search depending on where you live. And like I said, these states do give financial aid to families who want to attend a school that's within their state. And it's something to consider as well. So we talked about getting financial aid from the federal government. I talked about getting financial aid from colleges and universities and from the state. Another source, of course, are private scholarships that are out there. There are a lot of different websites that will talk about private scholarships, but I think one of the best websites to go to kind of give you a sense as to what's out there is a website called Going Merry. It's www.goingmerry.com, and it will give you access and information about different scholarship providers and that you can vet, and you can go through, start an account. It doesn't take long to start an account and figure out what private scholarships would be best for you. There are other ways that you can look for private scholarships. And by private scholarships, I mean things like there might be like a club or an organization that gives small scholarships to students that apply. So the other way of looking for private scholarships is to speak to your high school counselor. Sometimes your high schools will have lists of local organizations that give out scholarships. That's a good way to kind of figure out what is needed, is to ask your guidance counselor for any list of local scholarships and look for them that way. And then, like I said, this website's really good for looking for private scholarships as well. Another thing you could do is start having your team look at local businesses, or if you work in an organization that might give out scholarships as well for employees, I would look at that way as well. Look through it that way as well. Okay, so there are different ways you can look at it as well. All right. Next, I'm going to go on and talk about how colleges determine financial aid. So you'll get a sense as to how different schools use all the information that they get about you and how they kind of figure out how much to give to students and their families. Okay. So when I mentioned before that the very first thing that you should think about or understand is that total cost of attendance. The total cost of attendance is, in fact, a number that colleges will use to figure out how to award financial aid. So what they do is they take that number, the total cost of attending for whatever school, and they look at your expected family contribution. And if you remember, I said that the FAFSA will give you an expected family contribution in EFC. And from that, schools will determine financial need. So for example, if you have a school that costs $55,000, and that's the total cost that I went over, and you fill out the form and your information comes back and it says that your expected family contribution is about $10,000, what schools will do is take the total cost of attendance, subtract out that expected family contribution, and they'll say, okay, for this particular family, there's a $45,000 need. Now, a lot of schools will not necessarily cover all of that need, but it gives them an idea as to how to, what we say, package your son or daughter in terms of any type of loans, grants, work study, scholarships, those kind of things. The vast majority of schools will give something. It is very rare for them to give everything to cover all need, but many schools will in fact give something to cover the need for a family. So that's how colleges pretty much determine a financial aid award or a package for a student. Do take into consideration that sometimes not all colleges offer merit aid. So there are schools that are Ivy League that will say that they don't offer merit aid, they offer need-based aid. But keep in mind that need for them is relative, okay? Because of the cost of the school. And I'll give you an example of that later. Need is relative. So a need for them could be a family who's making $100,000 or more. So it's all relative. It will depend on the school that is on your student's list. When you're thinking about colleges, another thing that I think is really, really key is knowing that difference between sticker price and net price. And once again, going back to that idea of cost. So sticker price is just what it means. It's the total cost. It's the cost that you see, or the price that you see. It's the price that you see published in different areas or places. It's the price that you see or hear on the radio. You know, X university costs $55,000. That's what we mean by the sticker price. Where could you find the sticker price? A really good place to go and find this information is, once again, on the College Board website. It's called bigfuture.collegeboard.org. Every school is listed there. You can go there and find, if it's a public school, you can find the in-state cost or the out-of-state cost if you are coming from out of state. It'll give you information about what it costs to go there if you live on campus or off campus, like in an apartment off campus or at home. And there's also something there that will give you access to what we call the net price calculator. Every college and university is required to have this calculator on their website. So from this website, it'll take you to whatever school you're interested in. You can click on it, it'll give you a net price calculator. So what do I mean by net price though? What does that mean? Okay, so net price is, once again, taking that total cost and subtracting out gift aid. And by gift aid, you'll remember what I said. Gift aid is information that, or money that you don't have to give back. Things like scholarships and grants, that's gift aid. So if you look at the total cost, subtract out gift aid, you'll get net price. And that'll give you some idea as to what the average would be depending on your situation. And I'm going to show you a little bit of an example here. And this is just a net price comparison. Once again, these are averages. So keep in mind that these are averages. So for example, the University of California, Davis, the estimated cost is $33,836. The average gift aid, once again, I'm saying it's average, was about $21,983. So the average net price for a family would be about $11,853. The other example I have here is Cal State Fullerton. The estimated total cost was about $27,000, a little more than that. The average gift aid is about $10,555 for this year. And the average net price is about $17,246. The other example that you see on your screen is Claremont McKenna College. And you'll notice here that the total cost, estimated total cost is high. It's about $72,000 a year, a little more. But the average gift aid for that school, because it's a private school, and keep in mind that private schools tend to give out a lot of aid. They have more resources, so they do tend to give out more aid to attract families. This example, they give out about, on average, $55,880. Once again, average, but it gives you some idea. So that the average net price for Claremont McKenna, although the total cost is higher, the average net price could in fact be lower for a student going there than going to a state school in this example. So keep that in mind when you're looking at net price and total cost. You know, take into consideration how much gift aid that schools do in fact give out as well. All right. And next, I just want to touch on 3 myths, and these are kind of 3 takeaways that I'd like for you to have today about financial aid and dispel some of those myths that are out there about college cost and financial aid in general. So the first myth is my family's income is too high to qualify for aid. I hear that a lot. And what I want you to know is that it's really important, I think, for families to fill out the FAFSA, to fill out the CSS profile if your school requires it, because that's not always the case. It's really important for you to understand that need is relative and it's very individualized. So fill out the forms. There's a possibility. Always fill out that form. Don't throw yourself out of the running just because you think that your family's income may be too high. Okay. The other myth is that college is too expensive for my family. That's a myth buster here as well. I gave you an example of gift aid. The vast majority of students here in the United States do receive some type of financial aid to make college affordable. And college costs can range. I showed you before a slide where college costs from community colleges all the way up. There's a whole different range for college cost, and there are different ways of making college affordable as well. And the third myth is that private schools are out of reach for my family. And I just gave you an example where private colleges and universities tend to have a lot more resources, and students who are going there based on the way that financial aid is calculated tend to have more need. So private colleges and universities can in fact be affordable. Sometimes it could be that attending a private college or university could be more affordable than going to a state school, depending of course on your family's financial situation, but it could be there as well. Okay. In terms of next steps, a few takeaways for you. If your student is currently a high school senior, the next step for them, of course, would be, of course, to make sure that you have the FAFSA filled out and completed. And if you have a student who is younger and say a 10th, 11th grade, or even as early as 9th grade, I would recommend checking out some net price calculator. I've been sort of playing around with some net price calculations on some schools within my state for my daughter, just to get an idea. And it's a good way for you to get an idea as to, well, how much is this school going to cost? They're going to ask you questions about the profile of your student. Just plug in that information and, just it'll give you some idea as to how much this particular school may in fact cost for your family. And it's just a good way for you to get a feel of some of the terminology that I've shared with you today. Also consider other ways to minimize cost, especially if you have a younger student and you're thinking about the types of courses that they're taking in high school. Make sure that they're taking rigorous courses and try to, encourage them to take AP courses, which could later lead to them getting college credit, which could in fact save money in the long run. And also having them really think about their major and really honing in on the type of school that would be good for their major. So those are some next steps and some takeaways for you as you venture down this road for financial aid. Okay, right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I know there are a number of questions that kind of popped up as I was.
Excellent, Monica. That was lots of good information conveyed very crisply. So thank you for that.
Sure. Let me see.
And let me, while you prepare for audience questions, I also wanted to introduce Karen Rao, who just joined. Karen is the director of our college admissions program for 11th and 12th grades. She's a senior counselor on the team as well. And it's possible that some of you on the webinar today may actually be her clients. So in terms of the resources available to you guys, the audience, over the next 10 or 15 minutes is Dr. Randall as well as Karen. Karen, do you want to say hello and then you guys can get started?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Monica, that sounded like some awesome information. I personally can relate to some of the things you shared in regard to a private college actually being more affordable than a state college. That actually happened to me when I was going to college as well. So I'm glad that you had brought that to their attention.
Great. Good. All right. Should I start, Denny? Because
yes, please, Monica. And if you could please read the question out slowly before the answer.
So the first question is, who does the evaluation of the financial aid? And how is it done? And how to choose from two otherwise. Okay, so who does evaluation? Colleges have software that do the evaluation of financial aid. And like I mentioned before, the forms that you fill out are part of that analysis that they do. And I sort of shared with you how it's done, taking the total cost and whatever your expected family contribution is and looking at need. So colleges do it using various software, and every college will determine how much need they will provide and how much financial aid they'll provide based on the need of that particular student. Okay. The other question is, what if someone does not fill out the FAFSA or CSS profile? What happens next? There are situations where schools will give out aid, merit-based aid, without necessarily having to complete the FAFSA or CSS profile. I mean, that could happen. If you're eligible for federal financial aid or eligible for state aid, I highly recommend that you complete those forms. I highly recommend that. But there are situations where schools will give out financial aid without having the student complete those forms. So it's going to depend on the school that's on your college list. Okay. There, let's see. Another question a parent has is, can a student apply for financial aid in their junior year? I'm assuming junior year of high school. No, you apply for financial aid because it's based on when your student is going to college, right? When your student enrolls. So now a student who's a senior in high school, because they're going to enroll in the fall of next year, that's when you would apply for financial aid. Now, junior year might be a good time to start looking at scholarships, but in terms of getting any type of financial aid from like the federal government or the state government, you have to wait until your senior year of high school before you apply for that, because it's for you going to college next fall, next fall. Wow. Okay, so there are a lot of questions that are popping up about, they're very, very specific to individuals related to 529 plans and 401k and all of that. I would recommend, those aren't questions that I could answer because they're very, very, very specific to your particular situation as well. There's a question that says, is financial aid available to citizens or available to immigrants too? And I think that's a really good question. Certainly the financial aid, when I talked about the federal financial aid is for citizens as well as people who there's certain criteria in order for you to get federal financial aid. And certainly for states, some states will provide financial aid to students who may not be citizens. So it will depend on the state that you're in. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I have all this stuff popping up and I'm trying to figure out. Oh, someone asked, how do I know if a college has received the FAFSA or the CSS profile? You will know when the school packages you. They'll have all of your information, and they will tell you whether or not they have the information to give you a packaged award. So that's how you will know, from the school themselves. They will let you know that. Another question that someone has, oh my goodness. What is the deadline to apply for financial aid for early action? It's going to depend on the school that you're applying to. Okay, that's very school dependent. A lot of schools have November 15th as a deadline. So, but it will depend on the school that you're applying to. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, someone said they have twins in high school. Will I have to fill out 2 forms, or will they fill out? Okay, so each student, so when you fill out the FAFSA, and I use the term you, the you really is your student. So each one of your students, each one of your children will fill out a FAFSA. Okay, so they're separate individuals, so they're separate forms. So each student will fill out that form.
Monica, did we take care of that question, which is about greater chance of the financial aid if both kids are in college in the same year?
Yeah, I didn't. I can answer that. I missed it. Sorry. That is one of the reasons why I tell families to fill out the financial aid forms, is because financial aid is in fact highly individualized. So if a family does have 2 children, they take those into consideration, because the total cost for that particular family will be greater, right? So those are the kind of things that they do in fact take into consideration when they're giving out the expected family contribution or the amount of financial aid. So yes, it does. If you have, more than 1 child attending school at the same time, that does have an impact.
There is another question, Monica, which is in the chat window.
Well,
and this one is that cost of living I'm actually broadening the question here. Cost of living in certain areas may be high, like California Bay Area or New York or any of these places. Correspondingly, the salary tends to be higher. Will the colleges adjust for the cost of living when looking at the expected family contribution based on salary?
So the expected family contribution is coming from whatever the federal government says that you should contribute. Okay, so it's not really the colleges adjusting for that. So I mean, that number is going to come from the feds, right?
Yeah. So I guess this question from this gentleman Murli, that behind the scenes, what algorithm the federal government is using, we don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. All right.
Okay, how are we doing on more questions?
Oh, goodness.
I know Karen has been responding to other questions in parallel, the ones that pertain to non-financial aid type questions. Like somebody had a question about AP exams. That's outside the scope today, but Karen took care of that. Anything else, Monica, here?
No.
Okay. So in that case, let's do this. If there are no more questions at this time, then what we can do is that we can have the audience think of more questions. And at this stage, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about the non-UC Easy customers. I'll talk about what are the UC Easy programs to help families that feel overwhelmed with this college admissions process. At this stage, if you're a UC Easy customer, current client, you're obviously welcome to stay, but you don't have to. And the recording of today's webinar would still be sent out. Okay, but Monica would still be around for more questions after I'm done. And for those of you that have to leave, please do fill the feedback poll, which will be on your screen in a few seconds before you leave, please. All right, so Monica, we'll give you a little bit of a break, and while you charge for more questions, and let me talk about how to work with UC Easy. Okay, can you see my screen, Monica?
Yes, I can see it. You're good.
Thank you. So today so far we talked about financial aid. Now, for those of you that, especially seniors, that need help with that topic, please feel free to contact us, and we can have you work with Dr. Randall or a few other experts that we have on financial aid with UC Easy. Now broadly, because there are several families, I see families all the way from 7th grade till 12th grade in this webinar. Let me briefly talk about broadly what services UC Easy offers. So since our mission is to help families where the parents are not aware of the process, I'm specifically talking about them. Your students, your children, where are they getting help from in terms of college admissions? And how do you make sure that you level the playing field for your child in terms of getting appropriate and enough guidance compared to their competition? So in most families like mine, for example, 10 years back when I was helping my own daughter, my wife or I, we could not help with the process. Could our school do it? The public high school? They did not. They could not, because nationally, the school counselor, the student to school counselor ratio is 476. And if you live in California, it is twice as worse. So what UC Easy does, again, the name of the company, for those of you that joined late, is University and College Admissions Made Easy. And what we offer is, through counselors, experts like Dr. Randall or Karen Rao, we provide personalized guidance for college admissions from grade 8 till 12 and for college transfers. And as I mentioned before, currently our team has about 45 such experts, and I'll show that picture to you or their pictures in a second. And currently we're supporting 600 students nationally. If you want to look at our reviews, simply go to Google search and look for UC Easy reviews, and you will see close to 60 reviews, all 5-star. On your screen, you would see a sample of the experts on our team. So you can see Monica Randall is in the bottom row. If you can see my cursor, and then Karen is here, and David Campos is, let's see, where is David? David is on the top right-hand corner. He runs our program for 8th till 10th grade. We're very, very proud of this team because we have literally hand assembled this team over the last 5 years. And their average experience in college admission is 15 years. They are minimum master's degree, or at the minimum. And the last point here to understand is that the reason why we have such a large number, in addition to the fact that we need that many counselors because we have so many students, is that we don't believe that a single counselor or any one counselor would know everything about college admissions in the US. Why? Because there's so many colleges. So that is why it's really important for UC Easy we are making huge investments led by Karen, for example, for 11th and 12th grade, where we are building a team culture, where the team members cross-train each other, and we have internal databases where counselors can ask questions of others. Our belief is that while no single counselor, UC Easy or otherwise, will know everything about all colleges, we do believe that this team on the screen, there's nothing about US college admissions that we do not know as a team. So if you work with UC Easy, you would actually give your child a competitive advantage. What does that mean? As I mentioned before, the average student to counselor ratio in a public high school in the US is $476. In a high-end private high school where the fee could be as much as $50,000 or $60,000 a year, that's as much as an Ivy League college per year, their ratio also best case is 50-1. With UC Easy, it never exceeds 20-1. In most cases, it's closer to 12 or 13. So think about this. You're giving your child a huge competitive advantage. We have two programs, actually three. Today, I'm going to talk about just two. The third program is transfers from community college to four-year college. UC Easy believes that college admissions journey needs to be looked at in two phases. In grade 12, you apply to colleges, you market yourself. But in grade 8 till 11 is when you're becoming competitive for college admissions. And if you want a successful outcome, you need to do both things. Now, what we are noticing is that vast majority of students and families don't pay enough attention here. But this is where we strongly believe, and that is UC Easy's core philosophy, that the development of that special child that top colleges are looking for, an interesting child, a unique child, that development is happening in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade and not in 12th grade. So, which is why we have a rather unique program. And as the leader of the company, I'm so proud of the thought leadership that the team, Monica, Karen, and others have put into development of that program. And in 11th and 12th, we actually help you with the actual process, which colleges to apply to, which majors to apply to, how to write the essay, etc. Now, we believe that if you are a family where the parents are not familiar with this system, that you should seek help, professional help from us or from whosoever you trust. But in terms of if you trust or if you look at UC Easy, what is the difference? Our biggest difference is that we understand families with foreign-born parents or parents that believe that they don't understand the system. That is our biggest differentiation. That is all that we're thinking 24/7. I talked about the experience level of our counselors. College admission counseling is a highly unregulated industry. Anybody can become a counselor, unfortunately. UC Easy, we take it upon ourselves to make sure that when we hire counselors, that they are credentialed and experienced. You're on the screen today, you're seeing two of our most experienced counselors, Dr. Monica Randall, with close to 28 years experience. She was vice president of admissions and financial aid at a university. Karen Rao has close to 20 years experience. Minimum of a master's degree. In this case, Monica has a PhD as well. That is the team that we are bringing to you. I already talked about team approach. What I mean by safe choice is that in the journey of UC Easy, we've supported thousands of students. And we've been featured in national media, including USA Today, which is the largest paper in the country. I already talked about the team strength. This is all that is going into making UC Easy a safe choice for your student. Let me briefly talk about our programs. Before I talk about the specific program for different grades, I do want to mention that we believe that even academically gifted kids, they falter when it comes to writing college essays in grade 12. So we are a big believer in teaching students how to write college essays and developing writing skills for college essays, because no high school teaches you that. So from grade 8 till 11, we have different programs to teach students how to write essay. And in grade 12, we work with the students for actual essay review. Here is a quick slide on the different programs. We don't have time today to go into great depth. I just wanted to give you a preview. And then if you want to learn more, you can simply request us or contact us for a completely free session where we can talk more. What I wanted to call out here is that, and we do have programs for 12th graders, by the way. This screen is for 8 to 11. We have created different options depending upon what the family's aspiration is and what your budget is. So if a family says that I am feeling overwhelmed with this college admissions thing, I don't know what to do, just guide me, then the Right Fit College program might be a good program for you, where If you enroll in the month of November as an 8th grader, all you pay is $199 from now until first semester of 12th grade, and we will cover you for the entire journey for all the guidance that's needed in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. So if you look at these monthly programs, we have intentionally kept them relatively low because UC Easy wants to help as many families as we can. And I hope that you would find these programs affordable for the value that you are getting. We also have an Ivy League program. This is for families that aspire to the top ranked private colleges in the country or the top ranked public colleges like say UC Berkeley or LA. It's a little bit more expensive because the Ivy League program is right fit college plus several other things, including essay writing program. And for some reason you say, hey, all of this is too expensive for me, the packages, or I cannot afford it, or I don't want to commit for multiple years, then you can simply invest in a block of hours. So as you can see, we are offering you different options based upon your budget and your decision style, and also for different aspirations, the Ivy League aspirants or the others. And for those of you that are in seniors, there's not very much time left. The simplest thing might be to just invest in a block of hours with us. So for those of you that are in California, we have about a dozen people on our team that are consultants to UC, including Karen Rao. She is an external reader of essays and applications for UC Davis. So those kind of talent is still available if you're looking for help with essays or resume, etc. So, and then we have different packages for seniors. How do you work with us? The best thing would be to simply contact us. Go to our website, it's UC Easy with a Z, and contact us for a completely free session where we will explain our programs. You can invest, as I said, the different options, and in some cases, unless you're a senior because there is no time left, for all other grades, if you say, hey, let me just sample counseling, let me see how meeting Karen feels like, you can start with the 1 hour, and then from there, you can upgrade to the longer term program. And for those people for those of you that are joining today, if you enroll in our program by next Sunday, you'll get a 5% discount. But that promotional offer will expire on next Sunday. Please don't come back after that. Couple of quick testimonials that I think are relevant. UC Easy, as the name says, is a very easy and professional company to work with, especially for first-time immigrant parents. The other resources available to you after you leave today, recording of this webinar will be sent out, but several recordings of other webinars are available on our website for free under the events section. And check out our blogs. Every month we post 2 to 4 blogs on really cool topics by people like Monica and Karen. And lastly, before you leave, please fill out the feedback form. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and bring back Monica and Karen for a few more questions before we wrap. All right, Monica, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. Another question that popped up was, this individual skipped the FAFSA last year for their older daughter, and they wanted to know if they try to do it again this year when both their kids in college, will it cause any issues? It should not cause any issues. I highly recommend that you do consider filling out that form, especially since you will have 2 kids in college. So I answer that one live.
And Monica, while you're looking for one, I just wanted to say goodbye to everyone. I have to actually attend a meeting with a student that's a junior. So hopefully you'll continue with the questions, and you guys all have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Karen. All right, Monica, let's take a couple more.
All right. Let me see if I have something else. Okay. There's another one. I answered that one, trying to figure out which ones I've answered.
Or if there are no questions, maybe I can possibly just add a little bit of my parenting perspective on this, which is what I love to do. But if there's one more question, if you want to take, please.
No, go ahead. Add your parenting perspective.
So, guys, before we wrap this today, since UC Easy has really a mission of helping parents or families with foreign-born parents or families that feel a little bit lost with the process, there are a couple of messages of hope that I want to leave behind, which Dr. Randall actually talked about, and let me just re-emphasize. The first is that your income level, especially if you feel that you're low income, I don't think that that should be any reason in this country to suppress your college dreams. I think that's just a wrong thing to do, especially the bigger you dream, like Monica said earlier, there is plenty of money available for the right students. So why would we or unqualify ourselves without even going through the process? Again, I think in some ways that if you happen to be a low income family, and remember, Monica also said that low income doesn't have to be really low income. For top colleges, like my son went to University of Chicago, which is about $280,000 over 4 years, $70,000 a year. $100,000 a year is low income for them because a family earning $100,000 cannot afford University of Chicago or Stanford or any of those. So don't unqualify yourself on your own. The second thing is, if you don't ask, you don't get. So some of you were asking questions like, should I fill the FAFSA? Or I don't think, etc. Don't think, guys. I mean, why? It's like that if you are a educated parent and you've been to college yourself, in most cases, filling that FAFSA is a 30-minute exercise. Mm-hmm. It's that students get very freaked out with that, but I filled that FAFSA for my own family in literally 20 minutes. It's a simple form. Mm-hmm. And I think that credit to the federal government, I think it's one of those forms, Monica, I think it's designed very well. So mm-hmm. fill it. You have nothing to lose, right? So, and then the last point here, and then we'll wrap, is that whenever you feel that you're struggling with this financial aid, we've got experts like Monica Randall and a few others that can help you with all of this stuff. So, but put together, we've helped families get millions of dollars in different kind of aid so far. So with that, I'm going to thank everyone for joining. Monica, since you were our guest today, please say the goodbye words and we'll close.
Oh, yes. I thank you for having me today. I appreciate it very much. And as Vinny said, there's money out there. Please go through the process, and good luck to you all as you go through this whole adventure with your students.
Thanks very much, Monica. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your Sunday and hope to see you soon sometime.
Thank you.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
Bye for now.